Thank you. Yes, I do need this. Okay, hi everyone. I'm super happy to be here. We're probably gonna have some latecomers come, so if you're on the complete like my right side of the stage, can you move a little bit this way? Can everyone scoots a little bit just so there's space for people that are coming in? Hi everyone. This is getting started in the games industry. How many people here are not in the industry but would like to be? Hands up. So about a third of us. It's great. You are the perfect audience for this presentation. I've been meaning to do this presentation for a while. During the IGDA Leadership Day that we had during COVID, I did a presentation called From Zero to Lead. And if you're in any kind of, or want to get into a leadership position, I actually recommend checking that one out. It's on my website, ari.games. And for that presentation, I really put a lot of my personal experience being a lead, doing a lot of mistakes, and I recommend you check it out. But I never had the prequel to it, which was how to get into the industry, how I got into the industry. And for this presentation, I decided I'm going to go really personal. I'm going to just tell my story about how I got into the industry, really dig into it, ask some people that hired me, like, hey, why did you hire me? And kind of try to find some lessons learned that maybe apply to a more general audience, especially audience today, because it's a very different industry today than it was when I got started. A lot of people in the industry know who I am because I spend a lot of time going on stage, but for students, you probably have no idea who I am. So let me give you a little bit of a primer. This is just a video I'll have rolling in the background. So hi everyone, I, Ari, have been working now at Epic Games for almost 5 years. At Epic Games, I make lots of funny presentations, mostly where I wear costumes to make really dry but important topics kind of more approachable. I've worn a Hitch Hunter costume, I've worn a Mythbuster costume, I've worn Guitar Hero with a cape just to make super boring topics like, you know, how to set up a studio with version control and branching strategies, and also how to profile your games to make them a bit more approachable for everyone. Because in the past, these talks have been a little bit, or these topics have been a little bit, like people have only been saying, oh, that's only for the smartest people on the team. And I kind of want to make it like, no, everyone can do it. So look at how fun and exciting this can be. Been at Epic Games for almost 5 years. Before that, I was at Housemarque, and I was a lead programmer on Returnal. Did anyone here play Returnal? I'm very happy. That's like a quarter of us. It's such a good game. I love it. I love the people at Housemarque. If you can, I would recommend you play that game because it does a lot of things. Like it's a unique type of game. And also Housemarque is a great place to work. I love the people there. So if they ever have an open position that you would like to apply to, definitely do it. I recommend them. So I was there for 3 years. And before that, I was at Rovio for 4.5 years, making Angry Birds games. So I've been in the industry now for a bit over 18 years. And I wonder if there's some people in here that have been shorter time alive than I've been in the industry. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. So that's why you should listen to me. Just kidding. So the first slide is how I got started, and I was just figuring things out. There was this website called Newgrounds, which this was during the time of Flash games. Do you remember Flash games, Macromedia Flash, that then became Adobe Flash? I'm seeing a lot of nods and hands up. Great. There were some websites where you could play games, and I never realized that just anyone could make them. I thought there were some very prestigious or like very specific studios making them. But then there was this website, Newgrounds.com, and I actually went and found an old version of it because Newgrounds looks really fancy these days, but this is what I saw back then. And anyone could upload their creations. It would be like various quality of cartoons and games, and some of them were like absolutely horrific. But that was amazing because it made me feel like, oh my God, I could actually try making something and putting it online there, and then people vote. They would either blam it or say they love it. I wanted to try it myself. Oh. So I actually, oh my God. Is everything okay there? Oh, yeah, let me just do it. So I downloaded Macromedia Flash, a trial version of it. It was called Macromedia Flash 4. It was released in 1999. Makes me feel really old saying that out loud. And I made my first creation at a friend's house in a small town in the north of Iceland of less than 1,000 people. So I was like literally a complete nobody in the middle of nowhere. And I made my first creation, and I'm going to show it to you all. This was in April 30th, 2000, when I uploaded it. I blessed the internet with this creation. It looks amazing, and it's a short, so I'm going to play it now. For the longest time, I never wanted to show this to anyone, but it was online and it just like stuck there. And I was like, oh my God, anyone can go to Newgrounds, even today, and see this. But nowadays, I'm actually like, hey, this is kind of neat because I can show people where I actually started. Like now I'm at Epic Games, and being able to show like, look, I made crap, maybe can be inspiring. And it took us like one evening to do it. It was mostly like frame by frame animations. We didn't know how to tween. As you can see, the cigarette stub came out of his mouth, and it was like keyframed painstakingly. That was before I really knew how to use the tools. And I blocked out our emails, but I don't think they're valid anymore. I haven't checked out that inbox for like 15 years, and it's probably closed by now. And as you could see also, I didn't like the smell of cigarette smoke. It got horrible reviews. It got like 2 out of 5 score, which was not enough for it to get blamed, which means that they would get deleted off the internet forever. So it was just scraping the bottom of the barrel. I started experimenting, not a lot and not consistently. Every once in a while, I would get back to my computer because I got my first computer at 14. This is when I was about 15. And I started experimenting. This is my first game that I found on my computer. It's called Popper. It would have, I should have turned this into a GIF, but circles would appear on the screen. They would turn red, and if you missed them, you would lose a life. You'd have 3 lives. But if you click it with your mouse button, you pop it, and you get 1 point. It took me, again, like a couple of hours. It was super simple. Like that was the most impressive screen, and then afterwards, it was just the dots appearing, and then you pop them. I made some fun 3D graphics, because I think with Max or Maya. I made Kier, which is kind of like Guitar Hero, where these blocks would come down. I actually Googled, when did Guitar Hero come out? Was I inspired? No, Guitar Hero came out 4 years later than this, so I actually invented Guitar Hero first. No, there were lots of these games where, I think there must be lots of the games where like you had to click on a button just in time. I must have been inspired by something. I'm not that creative. I made intros for shows that I was going to make, and this is Icelandic. And I never made it past the intros. There was like 4 images with a little music that I found online. And then when I actually had to start making the show, I was like, this was already a lot of work. I don't want to do more. I would make South Park fan cartoons. Unfortunately, these are all online on Newgrounds. If you really want to find it, you can hear me say, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny! You bastards!" With that kind of voice. It's almost identical. This one is called, I'm not going to say it. Fuck, I'm going to say it. Cartman's Deadly Cold. You can find it online right now. Oh my God. See all my sins. And the internet said, you ripped these graphics from shockwave.com. And I was like, no, I didn't. These are really simple to draw. Sorry, I totally ripped them off shockwave.com. I just didn't like being called out on it. And then I made this really awesome space fighter game, which was made without any code. The health bar was a movie clip, and whenever the enemy shoot, it's a button that I briefly show, and if you're hovering over the button, it would tell the health bar to go to the next frame. back then, I didn't feel like that was an achievement, but nowadays I'm like, I actually managed to really use what I knew to make a game, and it's kind of cool. So yeah, like I would return to Flash every once in a while to experiment over the course of a few years, and I would really get excited to start things, but I would rarely finish them. Then I went to vocational school, and this is in a small town in the north of Iceland called Akureyri. And if you ask anyone from Akureyri, they will tell you they're not small. They're actually the biggest town in the north of Iceland. They're the capital of Iceland. This is the town. You can basically count the roads. But there I studied computer science because I knew I wanted to do something with Flash, something with media. I really liked using the tools and kind of making these cartoons and making games. So I was like, well, what can I do with this, like, multimedia? And this school in the north of Iceland had only one course that had anything to do even remotely with computers, and that was computer science, which they don't even have anymore. And they didn't even teach the full course. It was just like 2 years, and then it's like, you want to graduate? Go to Reykjavik, which is what I did. But there was something interesting that happened there in school, in vocational school. They taught me programming. I didn't ask to be taught programming, but they taught it to me anyways, and this is what they taught me. It was a DOS. Oh, my gray hair's like it's really sticking out now. It was this DOS program called Turbo Pascal, which is actually I just learned that it's a computer language, a language to teach people how to program. So that's kind of like the purpose of it. And I kind of realized, like, wait a minute. If I take code and I add it with cartoons, I get video games. That's amazing. Wow, what a whole new world. So this turned out quite nicely. Okay, let's stop a little bit now with my personal story. Let's go into the lessons that we can maybe take from this. First lesson is, figure out what you want to do. I didn't used to be proud of all the things, all my little experiments that I thrown away. I would spend one evening on it and get bored with it and like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's try out the next thing. And I actually now suggest, if you're really early on in your career and you're trying to figure out like what do you want to do, you're still in school, or like you're not even in vocational school, or you're like just getting into university, experiment, get bored, ditch things, figure out what you want to do, what your passion is, because this is a passion industry. You're going to be working like half of your waking hours during this job. So it better be something that you like. And this is an industry that doesn't pay as well for the same skills that you could be using somewhere else. Again, it's harder to get into because there's so many people who want to get into it. It pays less. It's a bit more stress. It's very like turbulent industry, but we do it for the passion because we want it, because we can basically spend 8 hours a day doing something we love. It better be something that you love. So experiment, throw things away. Just go like, I don't like this. Yeah. Good. Find out something else. Figure out if you want to specialize or go wide. Do you like every part of the making games? Hey, guess what? That's what indies do. They wear all the hats. Do you want to join the AAA game industry? You can if there's one specific part of game development that you just like, I love this tool. There's one specific part of that program. Guess what? You can get paid for doing exactly that. And if you really have a lot of passion for it, you will automatically learn it more because you'll be doing it in your free time. And you're going to be thirsty for knowledge, and it's going to just passively make you better at it than many other people. Once you know, you should start finishing projects though. Start small. I recommend always like doing game jams. Do I have that in a slide? No. Doing game jams, school projects, everything like that looks great on your CV because like you can be, for example, an artist, and then you can find a programmer, and then you can find someone who likes audio, and then just with you three, over a weekend, go to a mökki, summer house for the internet, and just make a game. And it's going to look good because all of you are doing things that you love and you're putting your passion into it. And you're going to have like this kind of complete pie that you made a slice of, but you can take credit for it with your friends, and it's going to look great on your CV. This is what I want to see on a CV if I'm trying to hire someone that doesn't have any industry experience. I don't want to see a CV where you were like, look, I was working on a register at a Keymarket. And I'm like, okay, great. Do you know how to make games? Because that's what I want to know. And you need to let them know that you know how to make games. And how can you let them know that? By showing them the games you made. And how do we learn how to make games? By making games. They don't have to be AAA games. They can be something over a weekend or over a game jam. Let's go back to me. My first interview. So there was a small company in Iceland called GoGogic. This was the birth of social games. This was before we had anything called free-to-play games. But it was free-to-play, basically. There were these free games online that you could play without paying anything, and like these are like Mafia Wars, Bubble Witch Saga. I don't know if you played Mafia Wars, the first one. It was just an HTML game. It would have input fields. You would put in like, I want to train this many thugs, and then you press submit. And then you come back to it. And these games were actually starting to make money. That was unheard of. Like, what is this? They're paying for a free game? And also it was called social games because we'd always have a gate. Like, you need to invite 5 friends to be able to continue the story. Which nowadays is just like, we're not doing that anymore. People don't have friends, apparently. So the CEO of GoGogic doesn't exist anymore, but it was cool while it lasted. It was a small 4-person game startup, and they were looking for a Flash developer, which is a very rare skill then because no school taught it. It was quite new. And they heard of me through word of mouth. They heard of me through a friend that told them like, hey, well, the CEO was going like, does anyone know Flash? In Iceland, please, anyone? And there were 2 of us. There was me, who was in Reykjavik, where GoGogic was, because WFMA, the school in up north, just didn't teach anymore. So they're like, go somewhere else, and that's why I'm in Reykjavik. And then there was another guy still in Akureyri. And they're like, that guy there, who knows Flash? The only guy in the village. He invited me to an interview. And it was kind of a weird interview because like I didn't know how to interview. Like I had always just applied online or something, and this was like many years ago, so it wasn't that hard to get a job if you just showed some, like, if your CV looked okay, they would just go like, okay, you're hired, go work at this gas station. I worked at a gas station, fish factory, bakery. I've done a lot of these jobs. So he just invited me, and I was like, cool. And they sat me down. It was a very casual interview. They're like, so how do you like Flash? And I'm like, I love Flash. They would ask me some questions, and I would just answer it. And then after the interview, he basically said, he looked at me and said, tell you what, you come here tomorrow, and I'll have a contract ready for you to sign. We just decided during this 1-hour interview to hire me. And for the longest time, I didn't really have any like lessons learned from that. Like, how do I even tell people to get into the industry? Be the only person in the village to have a very specific skill that is suddenly going to take off. That's a horrible, horrible advice to try to give. So I actually reached out to him just last week for this presentation because I'm like, I want to give students, people trying to get into the industry, some kind of insights. Like, why did you hire me? Can you tell me so I can kind of move it forward? And the reason why is because he had heard through my network that I knew my stuff. But he had also heard from like at least one person, probably just one person, that he's a little arrogant, which I was surprised to hear. I was like, back then, someone thought of me as arrogant? Sure, nowadays, yeah, you look at me and I'm like, yeah, I come off as the most arrogant guy in the room. Don't worry about that. But back then, like, I thought like, oh, I was kind of like getting out of my shell, didn't know that much. But maybe like, because I wasn't maybe the most constructive person back then. So sure, maybe someone told him like, he's a little arrogant. But he basically wanted a vibe check because he doesn't want to work with someone arrogant. And apparently I passed the vibe check. He was just like, hey, this guy isn't that arrogant. He knows his stuff and he has opinions, but he's also open to other opinions. So that's what he wanted to check. And that's what I passed. And I didn't know that until last week. So I guess the lesson is your network is very important. That's something that I've been learning now after like digging into my past. So talk to people, socialize, work in groups in school or during game jams if you're not in school anymore. All of these people are like, for me at least, it turned out to be one of the most important things that have helped me advance in this career. Help other people, be constructive. Don't put other people down. They will all remember it. And many of your classmates will join the industry. They will start their own companies. And maybe you were the person who helped them in school. Maybe you were like giving art critique. Maybe you were the one helping them with the program. Maybe you made audio for the game. Maybe you became the producer and told, okay, well, we're going to do it like this. They're going to remember that. And you've already got an in then. They start their own company and they're like, you were amazing to work with. I've already decided I want to hire you. That's going to be your best in the industry. This is the long game, though. This is not like, how is this going to help me apply right now? It's not. It's going to help you apply in a few years. But this worked for me. They also might join your dream company. Let's say you're like, I want to join Ubisoft or Epic Games, something like that. Guess what? If they have a position open and you have a teammate that, if you know someone who is now in that team, they can give you a reference. And references are very important in the industry because they've already vouched like this person is not toxic. I can work with her, him, again, them. This person knows their stuff. I can work with them again. And this just makes the interviewing part so much easier for the company also, because they don't have to vouch for all of this. They don't have to go like, okay, during the trial period, I guess we'll know if we are an asshole or not. Oh, you hit it so well, but now you're past your trial period. We can't fire you because that's almost impossible in Europe. And also, well, I don't know, this is a bad lesson, but back then I had an in-demand skill. So have an in-demand skill. So I was lucky because Flash was taking off and no school taught it, especially, in Iceland in the middle of nowhere. But if people were to ask me now, Ari, what is an in-demand skill? Well, okay, if you want to get into mobile games, which is, there's quite a lot of mobile studios here in Helsinki, in Finland, you should learn Unity. That is just the engine of choice. Although nowadays many people are trying to wean themselves off Unity. So another option would be like Godot. It's not as big yet, but I kind of see it taking off more and more because people are kind of getting tired of what Unity is pulling off. So like you can do both. Godot, I don't think it takes too long to get the basics of it. Also, if you want to get into console and PC, there's no way you can learn already the internal engines that the studios are having, but a lot of studios nowadays are switching from their internal tech to Unreal. So knowing Unreal is going to be huge, especially for all the specific systems in there, and especially for the new systems like meta sounds. If you are into audio and many studios used to use Wise, Wise, and if you switch to meta sound, studios are finding out if I switch to meta sound, I don't have to pay the Wise cost. So nowadays, if they hire someone and you, like for example, if you want to be an audio engineer and you know Wise, great. Know Wise and meta sounds, competitive advantage. And there are all these different like new tools in Unreal that if you just kind of like learn it, you're going to get an advantage over anyone who has just basic Unreal experience. You can say, I know the motion matching framework in Unreal like the back of my hand. They're like, that's a really new feature. No one knows it. So yeah, instead of being new software, there's a new component of Unreal, but it's coming out all the time. I don't want to recommend a specific specialization. Many people tell me like, Ari, what should I get into so that I can get a job in the industry? I never thought about that. I never did that. I always did what I wanted to do, because when I do what I want to do, I put myself into it. If I do what I think someone else wants me to do, that's not really my passion. Like maybe it might be, but the thing is like, if you just experiment, figure out what you want to do. Don't go for like, oh, I'm gonna learn exactly this thing because someone told me, and then you do it and it's not that much fun. And yeah, like I mentioned before, you need to show the company that you can make games. They just want to know that. And if you can show them that, it's going to be easier for them to hire you. Portfolio, school group projects, game jams. I'm just repeating myself. Also, here's a tip though, because I'm noticing now that the game industry is in dire need of content people or even programmers, anyone who knows the performance impact of their work in the project. And the game industry might not know they want it, but they need it. And I can tell because I'm visiting studios all the time and they keep digging themselves into a hole that they can't get out. And then they have to hire an outsourcing company to help them get out of that pit. So if you come in and you say, I'm a 3D artist and I know the impact of my work, I know how to use a profiler. Ooh, that's very rare in this industry. I know it's very rare. And it's a skill that you can learn. A lot of my presentations are focused on that. So just go to my website, ari.games. I have a link there to a performance course that is free. And we're putting out fresh content all the time there. And also my own performance-related presentations are there. And I just made a new one at Unreal Stockholm like 2.5 weeks ago. And it's called Profiling with a Passion. No, sorry, Profiling with Purpose. And it's going to be online in like hopefully a week or 2 or 3. Back to me, chapter 3. getting out of my shell. This is me at around 17 to 19. This is during a time where no one really took photos. There were no digital cameras, really. There were no phone cameras, and it was really hard to find an old picture of me. I really wanted people to see me, what I looked like at my most introverted. You might not know it from how I am here on stage. You're looking at this guy on stage. It's like, wow, look at him. He's so extroverted. Wow. No, I actually used to be very introverted. Not a little bit, like very. And my old friends and like my family, they all like knew me when I was like this. And I always only had one friend. I never had a friends group. Sometimes I didn't have any, like, best friend, and I would just kind of be friendless. My parents got a little desperate for me. They tried to enroll me into music, like drums, so that I could go into a band, get to know people. Like I said, this is a very personal story, but yeah. And also, I couldn't say no to people. I basically let people take advantage of me. When I got my driver's license at 17, I think, I was in this town, Dalvik, in the middle of nowhere in the north of Iceland, and going to the capital of the north, Akureyri, took like half an hour driving, and a lot of Dalvik people, when I wanted to go drink there, well, there were no taxis that went there, so they were like, Ari, can you give us a ride so we can party in Akureyri? We'll pay for your gas. And I would, of course, just go like, oh, yeah, okay. Because I couldn't say no. And then I would drive there, and then I would drive all the way back by myself. I didn't have any extra money. It just covered the gas. I was a pushover. Turning it around, I took on the entertainment coordinator role for my student association in uni. And I don't know really why I did it. My friend, Ayir, he decided, I want to be the head of the student association. And I was like, okay, I'll go with you and I'll do the entertainment coordination, which meant basically scheduling all the company excursions to all the different companies. And this was before 2008, the great bank collapse of the world, and especially Iceland. We got hit hard, but this was before that, so everyone thought they were invincible. They were like, oh my God, our company, we're going to grow so much, it's going to be amazing. We need all the students. So all the companies were really thirsty to have us over. So I actually managed to book an excursion every single Friday for every week, except during the summer holiday and when the tests were. So I was like, I don't think it has had that kind of entertainment coordinator since then. I don't know, I'm just guessing. Like, it's hard because how can you fill more than full? And also being the person in charge of free beer for the students, because we got banks sponsoring us. Really, banks were sponsoring the Computer Science Student Association of the university. They're like, oh, here, take like 5,000 euros for the year. And I'm like, that's so much beer. And we just go to a bar, we buy a keg, and I would be the one who's saying, okay, students, go and get your free beer. People really wanted to talk to the guy who could offer them free beer. I also started knowledge sharing for the first time because I was like, more people should know Flash because I was still working at GoGogic and we needed more Flash programmers. And also I just kind of wanted to share it because I was learning from online and I was like, I also want to share knowledge. I like it. And my first presentations sucked. Absolutely horrific. I'm not even gonna tell you, but well, okay. I would do this. I was like, how to make a space fighter game, and I would go through the entire making of a space fighter game. I would never test it. I wouldn't do it iteratively. So at the end, I would say, and this is how it looks like. People were like, I lost you like halfway through, and nowhere at the time would I show this is what we have so far. It was just like, right. I basically spent the weekend creating a game. And then during the presentation, I'll just go through every class and type it out. Absolutely horrific. But every time I made a presentation, I got feedback, I learned, I became a little bit less shitty at it. That's basically how I got to where I am today. I've done so many presentations that I just kind of no, okay, well, next time, I'm not going to stutter as much. Or let's not say stutter. Filler words. I stopped using this sound between words because I realized if you just wait a little between words, almost sounds like it's on purpose. I have time for a dance story. This is a very important story for me. This is a very personal story. This is a story from a time in my life where I was still getting out of my shell. So, nowadays, I don't mind dancing. I don't mind dancing here in front of you guys. Wow! And some of you might think, oh, he looks stupid. No, actually, I don't think any of you are thinking that. I think some of you are thinking, wow, he actually danced in front of us here on stage. How does he have, the guts to do it? I'll tell you why. Tell you how. This was in a club downtown Reykjavik on Laugavegur. It's our party street. I was starting to, like I said, I was the entertainment coordinator, and we were like starting to get to know people. I had more than one friend finally. We're going to a bar/club. It was like one of those bars that has a dance floor and loud music, but not big enough to be a club. And I was doing the nerd dance. It's just kind of like going side to side. It's just, I don't really know any dance moves, but I really like this music, so I'm just gonna like be like this. This club bar thing had a whole wall that was just a mirror. Saw myself mortified. Oh my God, I looked so cringy. Oh my God, I was slouching. I'm like, this kind of like, I was so pale and my hair was a mess and like my clothes were just, I didn't know how to dress and this whole like, oh no, I look horrible. And I got even more timid. So I just kind of like started doing like, I don't know, like this, kind of like, I don't know, not even moving. I decided like maybe this is something I can improve. So I looked around the dance floor and there was this one guy there who was just dancing like there was no tomorrow. He had amazing moves. Like, wow, where does he even learn those moves? And he had a roster of friends around him, all cheering him on. Yeah, it was amazing. They were all smiling and laughing, having so much fun. And I was like, wow, I want this. I would love to have these skills. Maybe I can copy him. So I looked really, really closely. I'm like, I'm going to copy those moves. I'm going to try to, like, I want this in my life. He actually sucks. Those moves were not that impressive. He was what I would describe as flailing his arms around, almost successfully trying not to hit himself in the face. But he did it with just not a care in the world. He was happy. Instead of being low and timid, he put his chest out. He just smiled and danced like, yeah, this is awesome. Just like this, whatever. And his friends, it was infectious, infected everyone around him. They were like, you're amazing. Oh my God, you're making me have fun. It infected me from across the bar. Me, I was just like, he's having so much fun. I want this in my life. That's when I realized it's not about the dance moves. It's not about how cringy you look. It's about how you look doing it, as in like how much fun you're having and how much do you care about the other people around you. I don't care anymore if people think I look stupid while dancing. This is why I have this dance move. But look how happy I look. This helped me get out of my shell a lot. I don't think this is only for me when I'm dancing. I think this is for whatever, putting myself out there. Of course, as I get older and older, I start caring less and less and less what other people think because I don't care about what other people are doing. So I'm like, oh, they probably think the same as I do. But back then, like around 20, this is a really important lesson to learn so early in your career. So I recommend dance like no one's watching. You're going to infect everyone around you with just good vibes. And nowadays at Annual Fest and stuff like that, when I notice no one is dancing on the dance floor, I'll run to the middle and I'm like, let me show you how to do it. Guess what? I get the party started. I know that I'm telling this to a bunch of Finns and a bunch of like, nerds. Icelanders aren't that much worse, better, and also I was a nerd, so if I can do it, believe me, anyone else can do it. So lesson, practice extroversion. I am an extroverted introvert. You see me, you only see me when I'm on. I'm putting on this kind of behavior, but the thing is, my friends, my family, they see me when I'm just like, I'm just tired. I don't want to interact with anyone. When I'm done with a week like Finnish Games Week, when I'm done with like going to Annual Fest, I come home and my batteries are drained. This takes energy out of me. So this is not me like, oh, I love speaking on stage because I get so much energy out of it. No, I am expending energy right now. You guys are draining me. Oh my God. It's funny because sometimes I'll get home after a tough week of like meeting people and always being on, And I'll tell my wife, like, hey, don't you just want to get out of the house and meet some friends and just so I can stay here alone and play some video games? That would be amazing. So I am introverted. I'm introverted, but I'm extroverted. I made it an adjective. And you can do it also. It's a skill you can practice for sure. And also it got me to where I am today. I am able to go on stage to talk. I am able to like organize communities and stuff. And that was actually why I got hired at Epic Games. They did not hire me for my programming skills. The programming skills was like, they barely knew of them. And it was like a kind of nice to have. But they were like, this guy activates communities. He was doing the Unity meetups and Unreal meetups and a game conference called Games Helsinki. That's the kind of fire starter we want. You could practice that. The fact that you're here already and learning is a great start. Like not just staying at home when Finnish Games Week is happening. Chapter 4, from mobile to console. Once I was working in mobile games and I got an opportunity to join an older company that had previously left. They were offering me like a even higher position, bigger salary. And I was like, oh, it was quite a good company, but I did leave for a reason. But do I want to join them again? Because this is a really nice position, really nice title, like really nice. And the salary they're offering were quite nice. So I was like at a crossroad, like what should I do? Should I stay? Should I do that? Should I try to get into the AAA industry? Like, I don't know. Or like at least console and PC. And my wife, back then, just a girlfriend, she asked me, well, if you had any company in the world that you could be working for, anywhere in the world, which company would you work for? And I had a thought about it, and it reminded me of this company called Playdead. They made a game called Inside. Inside was an amazing game. You should play that. It's probably very cheap right now, and it takes like 8 hours to get through. You can do it in a single sitting on a weekend or like a couple of days. But in the end of that game, there's censored. I'm not going to spoil it because the game is amazing. You should go check it. It's still a technological marvel. And they actually made a presentation called Huddle Up, Making of the Spoiler of Inside. And I just loved it that like I played the game and it has such a big effect on me. And then they just shared how they did it. And I was like, huh, what the hell? And then I looked at this presentation. They were just showing all the secrets. They're like, this is how you do it. And I was like, this is so collaborative, so much openness, community sharing. I love learning, so I love companies that share knowledge. And like nowadays, always when a company is trying to hire me, I always go and check like what's your stance on knowledge sharing. But this one was just like, yeah, girlfriend, this is the company I would like to work for. And she answered, well, why haven't you applied? Oh, touche. Why haven't I applied for my dream company? So I applied. I was like, you're right. I shouldn't always think about like, what if, what could have happened? I'll be old on my deathbed. People are like, what do you regret the most? Not applying for that one game company. I don't want to be that guy. So I was like, you're right. I'm going to apply there right now. So I sent them an email. Well, didn't get it. This is literally the email they sent me. Thank you for your application. As you might have guessed, this response is automated. They didn't have any positions open. There was like only an open application. So I shot my shot and I didn't get it. But I was glad. I was glad I shot my shot. I wasn't worried anymore. Like, oh, what could have happened? I just like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I sent them the application and they didn't answer. I was like, it's kind of relief, like weight off my shoulders. Funnily enough, I was later talking to the team, like, a year ago. And they're like, I was telling them, because they're now using Unreal. And I was like, guys, like, do you know, I'm a huge fan of you guys. And they're like, we're a huge fan of your presentations. I was like, whoa, I applied there. And they're like, what? I was like, no, I was just doing Unity mobile development. You didn't, like, I wasn't known then. And they were like, okay, well. And then I showed them my CV. I was like, I only had this on my CV. And they're like, but this is not bad. Like, we would have considered you. We just weren't hiring at the time. So also we weren't really looking at the email. So we kind of just missed it. And I was like, what? So I had a chance. So new lesson learned. If a company says no, it usually means not right now, not forever. We don't like you. We hate you. Actually go away. Doesn't mean that. So if you have a dream company that you really like to work for, just keep applying. Like apply every year. Every time you apply, update your cover letter where it says like, since the last time I applied, I have improved this much in these things. Imagine how much I could improve at your company or something like that. Also, if you have an in at the company, if you have any contacts just ping them like, hey, I applied to your company. Did you guys see it? Because like in my case, they just missed it. Then Housemarque. I got invited to interview at Housemarque for a lead programmer position. The thing is, I didn't exactly fill all the requirements. They were like, we are looking for someone who can help us make the next console game. I was like, great. And I went to the interview and they're like, have you ever made a console game? I was like, no. Have you ever used Unreal? We're going to use Unreal for this title. I was like, no. Not that either. In Unreal, we're going to use C++. Have you used C++ professionally? No. This is a lead programmer position. Have you ever led a team of this size? No. You got me. But as you maybe noticed at the beginning of this presentation, I said I used to be a lead programmer on Returnal. So they hired me. Why? Well, the thing is, no, I didn't even have bullet points on it. I always said no, but. I didn't really just say no. They said, have you ever made a console game? No, but. Even better. Even better, guys. I have made mobile games. And mobile games are even harder than consoles, I think. They are way more limited. So I need to know how to squeeze performance out of it. Also, there's multiple devices, so I have to make sure it works on all of them. If anything, console's going to be easy. Have you ever used Unreal? No, but I've used any other engine. I've used Unity, I used Flash, I used these like SDKs. So it's just like I learned Unity really fast, so I think I can probably learn Unreal really fast. I'm playing with it in my free time. I'm noticing it's not that hard. And they're like, okay. They never said, great. They was like, do you know C++? No, but I've used any other programming language. I have like 10 programming languages in my background because I started with Turbo Pascal, and then it was Delphi, and then it was C#, and then it was C++, and then Java and JavaScript. I've done all of these things. And the thing is, I need to like, I heard that C++ is hard because of pointers and references. But the thing is, in other programming languages, you have to know what they're doing under the hood. They abstract it away for you, but if you don't know what it's doing under the hood, it hits the performance. So if anything, C++, having it explicit, it's going to be easier. Have you ever led a team of this size? No, but I have spent over 5 years in a leading position of smaller teams, but not that much smaller. And we're going to start small at Housemarque anyways, then we're going to grow. And I am looking forward to like take the opportunity to learn with all of you together of like how to scale and be, agile and adaptive. They didn't hire me. They were just like, I don't know, let's give you a programming test to see if you really know what you're doing. And luckily, I did the programming test, and they're like, actually, okay. That's what they said. Okay. Didn't think you could. Okay, yeah. But let's start you off as a normal programmer during the trial period, and we'll see about the lead. But I did well, so they they decided, okay, he's already doing the lead part. Let's just let him keep doing that. So I did it. But this is what I usually told people, like, I was just so good at interviewing. I always said, no, but that was the reason why I got hired. I actually asked the guy who invited me to interview there. It turns out that wasn't the reason. So he said, actually, there was this mini game jam that you organized at Housemarque for a bunch of like friends. It was like 10 of us together. You did it really well. We were doing these many games in one game jam, which is like a WarioWare title, where it's like, there's a 5-second game, you have to do one action, and then they go to the next game, and you have to do it, and they get faster and faster until you just fail, and then you get a high score. And I organized it. I did the technical framework, and I was like, okay, everyone fill in this framework, and then I'll put it into the game, and we all did it in a single day. And apparently, the lead programmer that asked me to interview was there, and he really liked how well I organized it. So he already knew that I had technical abilities, and also he knew me well enough. We were kind of friends, so he was like, I like this person. Again, the network and my activities outside of school and stuff. That came back. So I'm really glad I asked him, because otherwise I would have told him, just say no, but. No, actually it was the network. He had already kind of like he had already kind of pre-approved me. So through the interview, me saying no, but, they were just like, maybe they were probably just going, it's a minus. But, we like him, so let's give him a chance. Really glad I asked him so I could tell you guys. So lesson learned, shoot your shot. You do get rejected from all the applications you don't apply to, because how can they approve you? Also, don't pre-reject yourself. I was once contacted by a recruiter from Supercell. I was working at Rovio. I was doing Flash games. And Supercell recruiter reached out to me and said, hey, we're Supercell. We make awesome games. We make lots of money. Do you want to apply there? And I was like, it's just a recruiter. He doesn't know anything about me. I work at Rovio. And I thought, oh, they're not using Flash at Supercell. So I told them, like, I don't know, Super Plus. You probably don't want me. Goodbye. The thing is, I was rejecting myself. I was taking the decision out of their hands. The thing is, they might have thought, just like with Housemarque, that is acceptable. You can learn. We'll hire you. But I just said, like, you don't want me. Imagine being at a bar and someone comes up to you and like, hey, I really like you. And you're like, no, you don't. And then walking away. That's what I was doing. Don't do that. Always go like, well, what do you like? You know, I don't know. Maybe you're like, I don't know. I'm very nerdish. And they're like, yeah, but I like your pants. And I like anyone who wears those kind of pants. You're like, these pants? I do like these pants. It's like, let's get you out of those pants. I don't know. Sorry. I'm rambling. Don't pre-reject yourself. Use any connections that you have. Don't be afraid to reach out to friends and there are companies. For me, it just happened accidentally, but you can actually like take use of them. Also, another lesson, job requirements, when they're saying, we are looking for this person, that is for their dream candidate. They're looking for their dream candidate. We would require you to have all of this. Like Housemarque would have said, we would require you to know Unreal and have shipped console games and use C++ and led teams with this size. And I didn't fit any of them. You can be like me. Actually, this candidate that they're looking for, the dream candidate, you know why they're hard to find? Because they already have a job, and they're probably already paid more than what that company is willing to pay. This is why those positions stay up. They're like, why won't any dream candidate come and apply for us? And they're like, I'm already happy here at Ubisoft or Epic Games or whatever. And you can be the next best thing, which is what I was for Housemarque. I think, I don't know. And remember, when a company doesn't choose you, it usually doesn't mean something personal. It just means they found someone better. And you only need to be better than the other ones applying. You don't like, ignore the requirements. Just think like, I hope I'm the best one applying. And you don't know it until you apply. So just apply. I was going to say something more about that. You need to be better than the other ones applying. Yeah, there's not much else to say about that. Just shoot your shot. Okay, I think I am very good on time. It's exactly 11. Oh, sorry, there was one more. It's not all about skills. They do want to know that you are great to work with. Like I said, like they always like, they wanted a vibe check. They knew I was good to work with because it's much easier to teach practical skills than it is to teach someone to be a good human. And the game industry now is getting a bit more mature. And we have learned our lessons. We have gotten burned by working with assholes. I am done working with assholes. I never again in my life want to work with an asshole. I would much rather work with someone who is worse at what they do but isn't an asshole. Because I can teach them, or at least they'll be a pleasure to work with. I would rather take someone who is just good at what they do instead of someone who is 10 times, excellent, 10 times more productive, but is an asshole. Because like, again, this is a passion job. You're going to be spending your half-waking hours. Would you really want to be doing it in a toxic environment? I wouldn't. And if you just be constructive, don't be toxic, don't be that asshole, more doors will open. Okay, I'm unfortunately 1 minute over, so we don't have any time for questions, but I'm going to be here, so you can reach out to me afterwards. And I just want to thank you, Natasha, for allowing me to be the keynote speaker. I've been meaning to tell my story for quite a while. It's also a great growing opportunity for me to actually ask them, like, why did you hire me in the first place even? And I was like, this is not why I thought I got hired. And being able to share my lessons because I want you all to have a great chance at entering this industry. Thank you so much and have a great rest of We Love Games.